Welcome back to Ralph's house. Yes, it's episode 134. The last one was 133, fences and trains, and we're sort of moving on from that. Now, if you remember, we'll come to the fence a bit later, gates. I put in this horizontal bit. I bolted these bits of timber here, but what I hadn't reckoned on is that although this is absolutely horizontal, that was not square. So just to give a look, if you haven't got a square board will do. If I hold that up, I am now square, right? The only reason I'm square is because I've wedged that piece of timber right down into that corner, which has pushed this side out just slightly and squared everything up. So how do you keep it square? Well, my thinking is, because at this end I think I've got one loose bolt at the top because it held the guttering on the other side, so I'm going to put this bolts each end, 2 bolts. This is on the original metal roof supports, 2 bolts there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these bolts. I'm going to loosen these all the way down. I shan't loosen those. I've checked these and these are actually square. It's only these. So whether it's, as I've taken the garage apart, it's moved slightly or just over the ears, but I can straighten that. So as long as I've got everything square and I've got it supported at the right point, slacken all the bolts, retighten all the bolts in a kind of cross pattern, like when you do cylinder heads. And I don't know whether this is going to work or not, but I don't see any reason why it shouldn't, and that should pull everything back square again. Because like I said in the last video, what I don't want to have to do is build doors to fit an opening that isn't even square. It's just ridiculous. If I can get everything square, it makes it a lot easier, and then I'll just make everything accurately. So that was just something I encountered, and that seemed to do the trick. It's wedged in there at the moment, but like I say, I'm going to slacken all these bolts and then re-bolt it again, and then take that piece of timber out and then check it again for square. And if it is all square, then great, and if it's not, then I'll have to think of something else. Comments below. We're making the gates today. My sister said that. She said, "Are you making those gates?" Yes, I am. It's a little awkward, although most of the measurements in terms of the actual garage structure are right. The bottom of this side is moved out very slightly. I'll say slightly, it's about ½ an inch. So what I'm doing, I've made a basic frame and I'm screwing it on to this, because it's going to butt up against that anyway to get that square, and I shall probably put another screw up there so I've got an even line across the top, and then we'll do it with shiplap and put a strengthener piece in, and then we can, well, put the hinges on, then we can take the screws out and we can shave off whatever we need to shave off the gate to actually make it fit, because I can't think of any other way to do it, because I need it to fit snug. I've decided I'm going to put a piece of angle iron along the bottom with some sealant underneath it to give something for this to butt against. But anyway, that's what I'm doing at the moment. Putting the screws in. But at least the temperature's dropped a bit now. I think it's about, well, it feels about 22, 23 today, as opposed to 28 and 30, which it has been lately. I just couldn't do anything more than 20 minutes in there. But now the weather's cooled down, we can sort of crack on. So we'll come back in a bit later when I made a bit more progress. Yeah, late in the day. But anyway, we've got all those on. So I'm trying not to get myself paint splattered. But yeah, giving it a coat of that wood treatment both sides, and then when I finish the other one, which I'm going to do in the morning, I shall put some extra bracing pieces in just to strengthen these up and put the hinges on, and then see how much I've got to shave off with a circular saw to make that a dead fit. If this opening was absolutely square all round, it would be a doddle. You just make everything square, but I'm not able to do that, so I've got to make a little bit of allowance. I came out this morning and it was actually drizzling. So I didn't actually get around to putting the shiplap on this frame, but this is the second frame I've got in there ready for this next door. I'm just using this as a guide to get them lined up side by side, and as I did with the other one, I've left a gap at the top, but I've screwed it up just to give it a firm fixing, ready for tapping the actual shiplap on. And then we will see what adjustments are needed as I come to put the hinges on. I suspect I'll probably have to run a circular saw at least on one or possibly two edges just to get everything to line up all right. But that's it for Sunday. I'm not doing any more than that. We'll wait till it's dry tomorrow, and then I can start cutting lengths of shiplap. There's nothing worse than trying to saw wood when it's raining. Yeah, so good progress. And then that means as soon as I've got these sealed in, whether the hinges are on or not, I can I shall get rid of this slab, get that out. I've got a couple of other slabs outside that I need to relocate because they're leaning against things and they're heavy. But once I've got all this completely sealed in, my brother-in-law Steve, I think you'll just about remember it, over a year ago, well, about a year ago, he brought me out one of these roof struts, and it was for a wider garage. But I've actually found a use for that now, because it's got a long enough piece of angle iron and that will fit the width of that, and these doors can butt up against it. And I shall fix that to the concrete beneath with raw plugs and suitable screws, and a certain amount of window and door mastic to seal it, and then that means that should repel any water, at least no water will come in this way, and it gives the doors something to push against. I think in the sort of short term, the only door I'm likely to open is this one, simply because I've got this camper here and I haven't got enough scope to push it forward. But bearing in mind this building is going to move at some point. So that's it from Sunday. I'll see you in the morning. And so it's the next day. I have to keep remembering to video, otherwise I kind of get carried away with it all. Got that piece to put on next, and then by my reckoning I've got to cut another 3, which is exactly one plank actually makes 3. So we'll finish these off, and then I shall get a coat of this stuff on it. There we go, all the shiplap on. The wind's getting up a bit as well. At the moment I'm sort of splattered myself in that stuff, so I'm going to go in and have a shower and put all my clothes in the wash. They're old ones, thankfully, but it is now all screwed up tight. Even if the hinges aren't on it, they're in the right position with the amount of gap I need each side. And then I should just put some hinges on it, like I say, either tomorrow or later in the week, depending. I've got quite a bit I need to do, include putting up a couple of CCTV cameras for a family member, which I've been trying to squeeze in forever, but I really need to secure this because my son said the same thing. The house is absolutely swamped with tools. It's driving us mad. So they've all got to go in here. So all I've got to do now is close off that end, clad that, and that's this done. And I can worry about putting handles on if I need them. I don't think I do. I think I'll just push them open if I want to open it. There you go. That's the end closed. It's about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I'm gradually taking stuff out of the house that's been driving me mad. I mean, you can see what I mean. 2 exhausts. arc welder, weed killer, extra toolbox, pillar drill, VW headlights, loads of bolts, and in fact I've got 3 crates of VW spares, and any women in my life, and thank goodness I don't have one, would go absolutely spare with all these boxes of stuff. But anybody who owns a VW will tell you you can't afford to throw away anything because it's expensive. Anyway, so all my sort of building materials I can put out here, various boxes of screws, all my drills, cramps, everything. But what I'm going to do is, I shan't have this door opening up this year because there isn't a lot of point at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a workbench in here. I'll probably split it into 2 just in case I need to pull one out. But I've got 2 13-foot scaffold boards which will make a great solid workbench, I think. If I can find some more recycled timber to make the legs, that'll make a good workbench for sort of stuff like that. And then I can kind of start racking it out. It's a bit more difficult on these concrete walls, but you do have these bolt fixings here, so I will think of something for that. I could certainly anchor shelves to those, so I'll have a look at it. Yeah. Anyway, I think I've had enough tonight, and we'll keep moving the stuff down. I've already noticed a difference in doors. The fact that I can walk down the hallway was a plus. Pillar drill was in it for ages, and once I've used up the last of this ship lap, I've only got the scaffold boards left in the hallway, and I can get those cut up over the next couple of days. In fact, there may even be enough. What's this, 13 foot? Yeah, 7 foot now. Well, I'll certainly fill the width anyway, and probably be able to make a couple of sturdy shelves for putting stuff on. Load of paint down there that's nothing to do with me. It was all my dad's stuff, but you know, it's difficult to get rid of. You can't put it in the bin, can you? So I'm going to have to wait for a tip run to get rid of those. Yes, so we'll gradually over the next couple of days, and I've got a couple of no, actually I've got 3, maybe 4. I've got 3 sort of square type filing cabinets, not the 5 drawer things, so they're more like 2 drawer. And I've got a filing cabinet that's A4 size, which is brilliant for small screws, electrical components, that sort of stuff, so I know where it all is. And I've also got some fluorescent lighting, mine actually LED lighting, to replace what's already in here. So yeah, I feel positive now. It has been driving me mad, having a house full of tools. You can't move, and in a couple of instances I've had to go out and buy something twice because I couldn't find the first lot. So yeah, this is a big plus getting it out here, but at the same time I need to organise it. So I think, yeah, I know where the scrapers are, yes, I know where the screwdrivers are, or whatever, and it's all in one place. So and I've got lots of plastic boxes, things like that I can put a lot of stuff in one go. So yeah, I don't think it's a productive day today. Yeah, I've got the last bits of tongue and groove, sorry, shiplap, to go on the bottoms of these doors. It's actually chunkier stuff. It's by pure fluke. When Oakdale supplied the timber, one length they supplied, which is twice the thickness of the normal stuff, and it's got a curve on it. So I thought, great for the bottoms of the doors because it'll help the rain run off. So I'm going to use that and finish off those. That's just pure luck, that was. And like I say, just close that up there. Anyway, see you in the morning. What a nice sunny morning. Yes, it's, what day is it? Wednesday. Yeah, I've just been to tool station and bought 5 litres of this stuff. I'm not promoting a brand at all. It was just the best deal I could get. Anyway, it's black bitumen paint for gutters, railings, overcoating wood and felt and iron. So, but I bought it for a specific purpose. Up on the roof of my new shed, or what was a garage, it's an asbestos roof, and you've got to be careful with this stuff. I'm wearing a mask as it goes, but if you look, the surface is deteriorating, so I've decided I'm going to coat the whole of this in this bituminous paint, and that should seal it, and it should soak in quite nicely, but we'll see. It was something I hadn't really anticipated, but the problem is with asbestos is moss will eventually get a hold on it, and then of course when it rains it just sort of sits there, which isn't really good. And what you want is a decent runoff, so you don't get any leaks. So I'm going to today do a trial piece just down here, down this first section, and then apparently it takes about 4 to 6 hours to dry, and once that's done, and we'll see what it's like. I'll just carry on doing it. Anyway, I've got 5 litres because, well, I can see me having to seal other things as well, can't you? Anyway, we'll give it a go. Well, it's not like a thick tar. It's quite brushable. Somebody did suggest roller in it, but I think a brush will suffice. I have to say though, I don't think I'll bother cleaning the brush out afterwards. Would you? Yeah, anyway, apparently it can be mixed with white spirit, so we'll paint that and see how it looks. Well, that's the test coat, best I could get it. Well, because if there's a slight bit of moss on it, I mean, I've scraped it, but if there's a slight bit of moss on it, it won't really make a lot of difference because this bitumen really soaks in. What a noisy crow. I suppose the only way to see what it's like after 4 to 6 hours, but in this heat it should dry quite well. The only downside is the local squirrels, they run across this. And the reason being is, and they can be a bit annoying, squirrels, because they just simply don't care. They'll scamper across here even when I'm stood here. I provide a water source, and Phil next door provides all the bird feed, so you can't blame them really for nipping over there and seeing if they can get the odd nut or two. So, you know, they're well catered for here, and we don't mind that. We do encourage them. This is the oasis of the street, if you like, and with all that leylandi, which I think probably might need cutting again at some point, but it's giving the necessary shade to the local wildlife. That's the point, you know, for nesting birds and everything. And you don't get too many cats around here. Anyway, what I was really concerned about is squirrels running across and getting bitumen feet. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to do it in sections, and they tend to go over the far end, I've noticed, the very last bit, which makes sense. So what I shall do is I'm going to do this roof in 2 halves. So I shall do this half at least this month, and when I get to the last 2 sections I'm going to have to put some kind of meshing or board over it to protect the little squirrels' feet, you know what I mean. But we certainly need to get this done, but we'll just see how long this takes to actually go off. Looks good though. Anyway, but at least then the rain should run round. I mean, run down, sorry. But the problem with asbestos, look, can you see all them little fibres? The danger with asbestos is if you breathe it in, this is why I'm wearing a mask, the fibres have got little hooks on them, and they get lodged in your lungs, and you can get asbestosis, or even cancer. So, you know, you've got to take this stuff seriously. But on the other hand, asbestos is a good material. I mean, that's why they used it as long as they did. It's pretty hard wearing. It can be broken, sure, but if we can seal this top edge, that should be good for another 10 years. And 20 quid of a bitumen coat is still cheaper than putting all rubberised roofing on it and having the added problem of getting rid of all the asbestos. You know, it's all a pain, isn't it? The wonder material that it was in the 1950s, and now nobody wants to go near it. If you take it up the tip, you've got to double bag it. You can take it up yourself. You don't have to get an asbestos removal team in. Well, unless you're in commercial premises, then you probably do. But if you're taking off a roof, as long as you double bag it, there's a certain amount you can take up the tip. I do have some left, obviously, because I took the roof off, but this should stabilise what's left and give me a nice solid roof, I think. Yeah. So we'll look at that in 4 to 6 hours, because the last thing you want to be doing is watching paint dry. Well, less than an hour later, it's dry. I'm tempted to put another coat on it. Don't think it'd do any harm, will it? Yeah, I'll put another coat on it. It seems to go a long way. I've barely used any out of that tin. So, yeah, we'll put another coat on it. Don't be mean. Now, to sort of tie in with closing this end at the top, that's easy enough. I'll just make a frame to fit in there that just sits under those pieces of angle iron. And the reason I need those is because I've got some asbestos sheets left, but I only need them to come out 13 inches. I've worked it out. So, well, that's the length of the angle iron anyway. So I've got to unbolt those, cut them down to 13 inches, clean up the ends so I don't get cut on them, round them off, then bolt them back up again. And then I'm going to cut the asbestos sheet, but I'm going to soak it down so I don't get any dust fibres, and wear a mask and use a jigsaw, and then I should just be able to slot those underneath, and that'll provide a little bit of shelter, and then I'll just fill in that top end, and that'll be that. Still beavering away in the evenings. Got myself a temporary light put up in here, and what I've been doing is every time I find anything that's tool related, it gets dropped in here, and then as the week goes on, I've got more filing cabinets to come in, that sort of stuff, which just store parts incidentally, and but we'll try and get all this organised because it's a bit chaotic, but the main thing is to get it all in here, and then hopefully I can use this filler to fill up any gaps up here. Tomorrow I'm going to take off these 2 bits of angle iron, cut them to 13 inches long, that's how I calculate it, because that's the span between these, you see, because I'm only going to use a small section. It's going to be a little canopy at the front just to shrug the rain off anyway, and in the morning I will, because I'm getting on with that, but the thing is I've got to lay on this roof. It's corrugated, you see, but every time there's a post, that's where a roof strut is supporting it. So as long as I lay flat on that, or put a board between there and there, this whole span, lay on that, I can get to the apex, get all that painted, and that'll be this side done. And then when I've got more time, perhaps later in the year, I should do the other side. But it'd be interesting, wouldn't it, when it rains, to see how that runs off. I've temporarily taken the guttering off. As soon as I've got this side done, I'll put the guttering back and then work out where I'm going to put my downpipe, because where it was before, it tended to leak actually back in the garage. But that's enough from me. Thanks for watching. Remember, thumbs up or thumbs down. Leave a comment if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one, by which time we'll have done most of that. Got a bit of a gap above that door. Do I need it? Don't know. We'll have to think about that one. Anyway, that's it. Bye from Ralph's house. Couldn't resist it. I think that runs off, don't you? Yep. Bye. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.